Welcome to the workshop test tape. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the wonderful world of technical testing.
If you were watching the channel a few weeks ago, you would have seen me unbox and then clean a collection of reel-to-reel tapes from a London recording studio named Advision. Advision started in the early 60s as a jingle and voiceover company, founded by Guy Whetstone and Stephen Appleby. By the mid-60s, Advision was a leading London pop studio. The Yardbirds recorded Roger the Engineer there in 1966, and The Move recorded Flowers in the Rain in 1967. In the 1970s, Advision was a centre for progressive rock. Yes, ELP, Gentle Giant, and later Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds were all recorded there. Everything in this collection appears to date from the mid-1970s. There are a couple of master tapes, studio boxes with cryptic notes inside, and some very well-known names. But unlike vinyl, you're never quite sure of what you're getting with tape, and that's part of the magic. These reels could be full of wonderful music in great quality, or they could simply be blank or over-recorded with someone's record collection. The only way to find out what's on them is, of course, to play them. This A77 Mark III is a 4-track machine from 1973, with 3 3/4 and 7.5 inches per second tape speeds. The B77 dates from 1982 and is a 2-track machine, which runs at 7.5 and 15 inches per second. Now, because these tapes might contain copyrighted content, there is a limit to what I can play without the video being blocked. However, some of the music might not trigger YouTube's Content ID system, so I'll play as much as I can. Okay, let's start with these 7-inch tapes, most of which come in these yellow Advision boxes. The fronts and the backs are unfortunately blank, but most contain a note inside which offers some clues about what's on the tape. As I mentioned earlier, Advision was a hub for prog rock in the 1970s, and we have some interesting tapes from that era. First, 3 reels for the Dutch prog jazz outfit Solution. These two 7.5-inch reels contain 7.5 inches per second copies of side 1 and 2 of their 1975 album Cordon Bleu. It was produced by Gus Dudgeon, Elton John's right-hand man, for the Rocket Record Company, which also links these 2 tapes of Kiki Dee's 1973 Rocket album Loving and Free. The larger reel features very high-quality, non-Dolby 15 inches per second excerpts from tracks called Whirligig and Last Detail, both from Cordon Bleu, which, judging by the box, were pulled for film use. There are also 2 interesting tracks by UK prog band Druid, Nothing But Morning and Kestrel, from their 1976 album Fluid Druid. If you'd like to hear that album in full, which I recommend, I'll put a link in the description. At the other end of the spectrum, there are a few excellent comedy reels. The first is a copy of the infamous Trogs tapes, a notorious studio bootleg circa 1970, capturing a session collapsing into a hilariously foul-mouthed argument about how to finish a track. Passed around on cassettes, it was one of the first viral recordings, and was later cited as an influence on This Is Spinal Tap. Because the recording is full of expletives, I can't play any of it here, but I'll put a link in the description if you want the full, uncensored experience. There's also music from a 1975 British comedy film starring 2 of my comedy heroes, Terry Thomas and Leslie Phillips, called Spanish Fly. On Sun-Baked Menorca, suave yet broke rogue Sir Percy de Courcy, Terry Thomas, stumbles across a miracle cheap local wine, which turns into an aphrodisiac when mixed with crushed Spanish flies. When fashion expert Mike Scott, Leslie Phillips arrives with a crew of models, the pair hatch a get-rich-quick scheme that spirals into farcical chaos, with jealous spouses, leering clients, and a town full of suddenly amorous locals. This tape contains 2 different edits of the film's theme song by Geraldine, which to avoid censorship was released as Fly Me. There's also another piece of music, presumably from the film, and a short snippet of dialogue. There's also some classic examples of recording engineers' humour, like this non-standard alignment tape.
Hey, you, engineer! Get that groupie off you and get out your alignment tool. Your machines are down. This is the Ampex standard alignment tape from the Bronx, batch number 251. We're gonna give you a bunch of tones so you can get that record right this time. Now listen, 6 tones here. They all gotta read 0. You may know where 0 is, right? Your needle on your VioMeter or PPM or whatever the hell you got on that fancy looking board that you think you can operate, gotta read 0, right? All the way down, from the top to the bottom. You got that? Now that you've aligned your mind, go and align your tape machine.
An unidentified man named Brian is mentioned in a track called Brian's Got a Big One, which I believe the studio staff created just for fun and added to the beginning of this Billy Cobham reel.
Brian's got a big one, hip 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 hooray! Oh, Brian's got a big one and he's coming out to play. It's such a big one, he weighs it in the air. It's such a big one, it always makes you stare. Brian's got a big one, hip 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 hooray! Oh, Brian's got a big one and it's coming out to play.
Brian's name also appears on a note inside another box. Brian's first mix could be the last. The song on the tape is a charming rendition of the Beatles' You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, but I have no idea who it's by. I'll play you a short clip, and if you recognise the singer or the band, please let me know in the comments.
Here I stand with head in hand, turn my face to the wall. Hey, you've got to hide your love away. Hey, you've got to hide your love away. How can
Advision was, unsurprisingly, known for creating adverts. In the collection, there were several Emmy tape reels, but I only managed to bring this one back in my suitcase from England. Europlast was a home improvements / double glazing firm trading out of Paynton in Devon. This reel features several takes of a radio commercial about a Europlast garden furniture giveaway, which highlights the challenges of being a voice actor.
Take 11.
Europlast are giving away £250,000 worth of fabulous Albert garden furniture between now and May the 10th. That's right. If you order a Europlast garden room, sunroom or a pavilion by the 10th of May, you'll get out of breath again. Bollocks. Oh, sorry. Just realised that other people might listen to this.
No, just me.
We've also got these larger spools, most of which contain exactly what's written on the box. This one, for instance, states that it's a mono-duplicate of Baby Washington's 1968 debut album, With You in Mind. And that's exactly what's on it, and it sounds quite good.
Well, if I don't love you, baby, Chris ain't groceries and a eggs ain't poultry and a Mona Lisa was a man. All around the world.
This reel features side 2 of Buddy Rich's 1970 album, Keep the Customer Satisfied. This reel is from July 1975 and is labelled Various Music and contains a superb selection of library tracks which were probably used for advertising work. Library music was specifically recorded instrumental music for use in films and advertising, and in Britain usually appeared on albums like those from KPM. Some of the tracks on this tape are a bit more obscure, including music from a rare album called Further Faces by British keyboardist-composer Derek Stanley Austin. If you're a fan of this kind of music, which I am, do check out his work. Some of it is available on YouTube. Another highly talented arranger was Johnny Harris, who collaborated with countless artists from the 1960s to the 1990s, including Tom Jones, Petula Clark, Lulu, Paul Anka, and even Elvis Presley, not to mention his superb 1970s solo album, Movements. This tape, though, contains one of his earlier efforts, a 1966 instrumental album called The Heart of Bart. It features orchestral arrangements of composer Lionel Bart's best-known songs, including From Russia with Love and tunes from Oliver. The box is marked as copy, but it's banded, so it might actually be the mono album master. Unfortunately, there isn't much of it on YouTube, but what I can find I'll link in the description. Harris produced some incredible music throughout his career and continued working right up into his death in 2020, so I might make a video dedicated to his work in the future. One of the disappointments was this reel that the label claimed contained 4 tracks by Jimmy Smith. As some of you noticed, this top-grade Ampex 456 reel didn't seem long enough for 4 tracks of 15 IPS. Sadly, the tape was completely blank. There were a few small pre-recorded reels in the collection, mostly early 60s issues like these Emmy-tape editions of The 5 Faces of Manfred Mann, 5 Live Yardbirds, and The Beatles' Please Please Me. These, however, are far more interesting. In the early 1960s, the home taping market was thriving, and a reel-to-reel recorder was the must-have gadget. Although an expensive hobby, it became very popular. Clubs, societies and publications emerged and thrived. These 3 small reels are Emmy tape guides, produced by EMI in 1960 for amateur tape recorder enthusiasts who wish to improve their recording techniques. I believe there were 5 in the series, each lasting about 10 minutes. The first is called Getting the Quality Right, and this one is about microphones, and this one covers recording outdoors. For me, these make fascinating listening, and they're presented in that classic early 60s style, complete with period incidental music. Here are a few extracts.
This is a special Emmy tape recording, number 1 of the series. And we've designed it to show you by example how to adjust the controls of your recorder and check its mechanism to make sure that you're getting the quality right. Now, listening correctly is the first step to good recording, whether it's to the radio or to live music or the voice of someone you're just about to put on tape. So before we go any further, please see that the loudspeaker is facing you as you listen, and move the volume control up and down during this guitar solo until it sounds as near as you can tell at its natural loudness. Good. Well, so much for the controls. Now let's see if the tape is being pulled past the heads correctly. Any fluctuations in the tape speed will affect the pitch of music, and it'll show up worst on long, sustained notes. If a wobble occurs at 20 times per second or less, it's called a wow. And here's a pretty bad example. A first cousin of wow is flutter, where the speed oscillates more rapidly. Tape recorders always have some degree of wow and flutter, since the drive rollers can't be 100% perfect. You'll find many ideas for increasing your enjoyment from recording on other tapes in this Emmy Tape series.
So, as you can see, collecting reel-to-reel tapes is a lot of fun. The only issue I have is finding enough space to store them. I really hope you enjoyed going through these with me. Do drop me a line in the comments about any interesting reel-to-reel finds you've uncovered. I'd love to hear about them.
Well, instead of fading out on my usual music, I'll leave you to listen to a giant express train pulling out of Paddington Station.